Okay, so good afternoon once again, and today we will be starting with our further immobilization thing. So today we are going to deal with what we call as immobilization of whole cells. Okay, now when why do we need to immobilize whole cells? There are two reasons. One is that when you have a multi-enzyme system, that is when you need a product which can be devised or made using multiple enzymes, and all those enzymes are inside a single cell. Then instead of purifying each and every enzyme, what you can do is you can simply immobilize the entire cell, keep it viable, and put it in the system such that the substrate through the immobilization matrix will enter the cell, and the product which will be formed by the cell will come out of the matrix into the entire medium. Another advantage of immobilizing the entire cell is that it is cost effective. Purification of enzymes costs a lot of money. Okay, so therefore, what we do is generally we use directly the cells. Since they are immobilized, purification of the entire process becomes very easy. Okay, now, there are two things that you can do with a whole cell. One is you can immobilize a live viable cell. Second is you can immobilize a non-viable cell or a dead cell. Okay. Now, how do a non-viable cell work? Okay. Now, in many instances, non-viable cells are preferred because then again इट इज वेरी कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव एंड वहां पर कंटेमिनेशन का कोई स्कोप नहीं होता है. द बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल इज द इमोबिलाइजेशन ऑफ सेल्स कंटेनिंग ग्लूकोज आइसोमरेज फॉर द इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोडक्शन ऑफ हाई फ्रुक्टोज syrup. Okay, so what we do is I have a non-viable cell. Please remember, I'm not saying dead cell, I'm saying non-viable cell. मतलब उसका सारा एंजाइम मशीनरी चल रहा है, बस इतना ही डिफरेंस है कि वो डिवाइड नहीं हो रहा. Okay, so for making high fructose syrup, I can use a non-viable cell which contains glucose isomerase. Okay, now there are certain limitations when you go for viable cell immobilization. One of them being that these cells will keep on dividing, and a point will come where your entire matrix gets filled up with the cells. There is no space for any external substance to come in or go out. Now, at that point of time, either your system is going to go haywire or your cells are going to come in the system. Okay, so this is one of the major limitations when we are using a viable cell system. Okay, now since we have been talking about immobilization of say enzymes or immobilizations of cells, there are many limitations when we talk about these. One of the limitations for viable cell, we have seen that the number will keep on increasing. Second limitation is with respect to the enzymes that we use. Like for example, there is a substantial decrease in the enzyme specificity. This is due to the change in conformation. Now, how can the enzyme change its conformation during immobilization? Is if we use a wrong method for immobilization, or even if we are using a correct method and somehow covalent bonds get formed between the enzyme and the substrate, then the shape of the enzyme is going to change, thereby it will decrease the enzyme specificity. The kinetic constants Km and Vmax of an immobilized enzyme differ from that of the native enzyme. So at lab scale, if we have optimized the system using the native enzyme, and then we need to scale it up using an immobilized enzyme, then also the productivity or the rate of productivity is going to change. Now the change in this Km and Vmax is because of again the change in conformation of the enzyme. So most important thing that you have to keep in mind while you make or you immobilize an enzyme is that your conformation should not change. Okay, clear? Say yes, no.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now when I talk about such systems, what happens is where do I immobilize them? Or for that matter, how do I immobilize them? And even if I immobilize them, where do I do my processes? So what kind of reactor should I use? So there are different types of bioreactors that are or that can be used when for immobilizing the enzyme or for using the immobilized enzyme to get the substrate. Okay, so now I am presenting you my screen and now we will see different types of systems that can be used for the immobilization experiments. Okay, so what we are going to look at are immobilized, sorry, immobilized enzyme reactors. Okay, so there are various different kinds of reactors. The first type is called as a batch reactor. Okay, when your entire system is batch, matlab x plus y giving me z, then I wash the entire reactor and again I put up a system say x plus y is equal to z. Okay, now these batch reactors, the immobilized enzymes and substrates are placed and the reaction is allowed to take place in the reactor under constant stirring. Okay, क्योंकि mixing होना जरूरी है. As the reaction is completed, the product is separated from the mixture by using usual methods like for example filtration. Okay, generally soluble enzymes are used in these reactors. It is rather difficult to separate the soluble enzyme from the product. Therefore, we go in for immobilization. Okay, so there are different types of batch reactors and we are going to look at them one by one. The first one is called as third tank reactor. Okay, third tank reactor. So now let us look as to how this looks. It is a very simple reactor. Okay, consisting of a tank like this, having, with this much is my substrate plus enzyme concentration, having a stirrer in the center. So I don't have that 8 ka shape. So the closest one being this circle. Okay, withdraw. So this is my stirrer. Okay, so what do I do? I add my enzyme, immobilized enzyme from here, let the entire system mix properly, react properly, and then take out my product from here via filtration. Okay, and here in this I have my product, and these circles are my immobilized enzymes. Okay, so that whenever I filter it using normal filters or industrial filters, these circles will remain in the system or in the reactor, and only the product or the liquid will come out. Okay, so this is stirred tank reactor. There are the certain modifications of this as well. Those are called as basket reactors. So basket reactors are also a kind of stirred tank reactors. Okay. So what is the difference is this basket reactor looks like the drum of your washing machine. Okay. जो स्पिनिंग के लिए यूज करते हैं ना कपड़े सुखाने के लिए, उस तरह का. सो इट हैज perforations on the wall such that after mixing, when you spin it, only the liquid comes out and the solid material or these immobilized enzymes will stick onto the wall. Okay, clear? Say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next type is called the plug flow reactor. Okay, plug flow reactor. Now, what do I mean by plug flow reactor? Is I have a plug, I have a reactor. Okay, so these reactors are alternative to flow pattern type of reactors. The flow rate of fluids controlled by a plug system. The plug flow type reactors may be used in form of packed bed or fluidized reactors. So how do they look? Let us draw. Okay, so this is the basic diagram of a plug flow reactor. Again, these circles are my immobilized enzymes. Okay, so my enzymes are within these matrices. So what is happening here is my substrate is going to go this way. So here I have my substrate going in. Okay, this here is my immobilized enzyme or cell, and from here I have my product coming out. Okay. Now, what is the difference between a stirred tank reactor and a plug flow reactor is कितना amount of substrate अंदर जाएगा, ये एक plug decide करता है. मतलब here we are going to have what we call as a plug or a tap. Okay, this is my tap here. So the flow rate of substrate will be managed by this plug. Okay. So what will happen? I have immobilized my cells in this column. So what will happen now when my substrate goes from here, from the bottom goes up like this. So while going up, the substrate reacts with this enzyme or the cell, and as and when it rises up, what we have is a pure product here which can be removed from the topmost column or the topmost end. Okay. In case of stirred tank reactor, what happens is I put all the substrate together, I add my enzyme and let it stir using a stirrer. After a point in time, say 10 minutes, I remove my product from the bottom using a filter. In this case, of course, this is also timed because we are talking about batch reactors. But the amount of substrate that will go up the fluidized bed or up the plug flow reactor is moderated or is controlled by a plug here. Now, these reactors are useful when there is an inadequate product formation in the third type of reactors. Okay. Also, if you want to look at the enzyme kinetics of any system, then of course you can use these plug flow reactors, because then it becomes easier for us to calculate the kinetics using the time and concentration data, which means अगर मेरा से कहाँ गया, presenting now again, for example, अगर मेरा सिस्टम जो है वो प्लग फ्लो के लिए, सॉरी, अगर मेरा सिस्टम जो है वो प्लग फ्लो के लिए है, तो what will I get is I will get a graph of time versus concentration. So here I have my time and here I have my concentration. And what I am going to get is a straight line graph. से फॉर एग्जाम्पल मुझे देखना है कि 10 मिनट में मेरा जो एंजाइम है वो कितना से ग्लूकोज को फ्रुक्टोज में कन्वर्ट करता है. So what I will do is I will add the substrate, which is my glucose, and after every 10 minutes I will take out my product, calculate the concentration, get a standard graph, and ultimately for unknown I will drop down. Okay, like this, right? So this kind of kinetic studies can be done using a plug flow reactor. Another type of reactors that we know or that we deal with are called as continuous reactors. मतलब क्या कि उसमें हम कंटिन्यूअसली सबस्ट्रेट डालते हैं और कंटिन्यूअसली उसमें से प्रोडक्ट जो है वो बाहर निकालते हैं. ओके. There are mainly two types of continuous reactors. One is CSTR. So there are two types. My A is called as CSTR, and the second, my B, is called as PR. So CSTR means continuous stirred tank reactor, and my PR is called as a plug reactor, like this. So my plug flow reactor can be used for batch reactions, as well as my plug flow reactor can be used for continuous reactions as well. Okay. Now, how do I draw a continuous stirred tank reactor? So what do I do is I have my stirred tank reactor. The only difference that my CSTR is going to have is a continuous removal of my product. Okay. So what will happen if I am adding my substrate continuously at 10 ml per minute ka rate, then at 10 ml per minute ka rate से ही I have to remove my product, so that the total volume of the system does not increase or decrease. Please remember, when we optimize any system for enzymatic reactions, we do it in a batch system. So in a batch system, we have the same volume continuously, correct? So when we convert it into a continuous reactor system, then of course we have to maintain the total volume. So therefore, if I am adding my substrate at 1 ml per minute ka rate, I have to remove my product at 1 ml per minute ka rate से ही. Okay. Now another type of reactor that we have are called as membrane reactors. Membrane reactors. Okay. Now there are several types of membrane reactors available. Now their types will depend upon the composition of the membrane that has been used. Commonly, polyamide or cellulose acetate membranes are used. Okay, so we have polyamide and cellulose acetate. membranes that can be used. Okay. The biocatalyst, that is my enzyme or cell, are normally retained on the membrane of the reactor. Substrate is introduced into the reactor while the product passes out. Okay, so if I have to draw a membrane reactor, how will I draw it? It is pretty simple. Of course, again, there has to be a stirring that will take place. Okay, please forgive my drawing because I am drawing using a mouse. So, so this is my membrane. Okay, here is my stirrer, and from here my substrate will enter. I have immobilized my enzymes on these matrices here like this. Okay, so they are attached to this membrane like this. So what happens is, since my membrane is porous, my substrate will enter into the system. It will get mixed up using a stirrer. It will react with the membrane here, and my final product will move out from here like this, out of the membrane. So the porosity is adjusted in such a way that only the product will be able to come out and not the substrate or the immobilized enzyme. Okay, this is one type of membrane reactor, and this is a basically batch reactor, batch used for batch processes. Clear? Yes.
Yes,
No.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Another type of membrane reactors are called as continuous membrane flow reactors, which are parallel in nature. Okay, so what will happen is, I have a system, sorry, like this. Okay, now when I say I have a continuous system, what will I do is, instead of making the system vertical, I will make it parallel. Okay, like this. So now what will happen is, I will put a membrane here like this, and here like this. So what is the basic principle is, we attach our enzyme to the membrane, right? So all my enzyme will be attached here. Then I will put in my substrate like this, parallel to the axis of these membranes. So now what will happen is, when I add my substrate parallel to these membranes, there will be a mixing. So one, two, like this. So I have added it to the separate chambers, and these straight lines are also different kind of filters. So what will happen is, now my product will come out from these two ends like this. So when my membrane filter gets filled up to the brim, of course these enzymes are going to function, react with the substrate, and give out the product. The product can be sucked out using the pumps. Okay. Now, various different products or commercial products are manufactured actually using immobilized enzymes or immobilized cells. One of the biggest substance to be formed or biggest substrate to be made is L amino acids. Okay, I have my L amino acids. So these L amino acids are very important in food industry and are used as food supplements. So what happens is when you try to make amino acids chemically, you get a mixture of L and D amino acids. But if you use an organism, you will exactly get only L amino acids. So therefore, what people do is they make these amino acids chemically such that they get a mixture of L and D amino acids. Then they react them with immobilized microorganisms such that now these D amino acids will be converted into L amino acids and the end product will be a purified form of L amino acids. Okay. So like for example, say if I immobilize an enzyme by the name of say fumarase. So what my fumarase does is it synthesizes it synthesizes malic acid from fumaric acid. Malic acid from fumaric acid. So making fumaric acid chemically is a pretty difficult reaction because it requires a lot of steps. But converting malic acid from fumaric acid using an enzyme which is fumarase is pretty simple. It is a single step reaction. So what people do is they will immobilize the entire cell and then they will put malic acid into the system such that the end product is fumaric acid. Okay, are we clear? If you have any doubts, please ask. Yes, people, any doubts? Say yes or no.
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. So then we move on to the next part of immobilization, which is applications of immobilized enzymes. Okay. So applications of enzymes. So the first application is in biochemical analysis. Okay. So immobilized cells or enzymes can be used for development of precise and specific analytical tools which can actually uh, estimate several biochemical compounds. Okay. So the basic principle of analytical assay involves the action of immobilized enzyme on the substrate yielding a different product, that is by changing its visual parameters, okay, or by decreasing the concentration of substrate. Like for example, we can immobilize glucose oxidase to assay the substance which is glucose. Okay, so now this glucose oxidase enzyme is used where we have these diabetes kits ना, sugar blood sugar testing kits, उन पर ये जो एंजाइम है ग्लूकोज ऑक्सीडेज वो इमोबिलाइज किया होता है उन स्ट्रिप्स पर. Okay, so when we put blood on that strip, what happens is the glucose reacts with the glucose oxidase, forming some electrons or small current, which is then measured by the instrument. Okay, these instruments are called as thermistors. Okay, now these thermistors, what they do is they measure heat. Now, how will you measure heat or when will the heat be generated? When two systems react and give out heat, that is, it is an exothermic reaction. Basically, all the enzyme catalyzed reactions are exothermic. So, when my glucose oxidase reacts with my glucose, certain amount of heat is generated, which is measured by the thermistor, converted into the digital output, which we can see on the device. Okay, sorry. So now let us look at how my enzyme thermistors look. So let us again draw the enzyme thermistor. So what do I have? One line, two lines. Okay, then a box like this, another box.
Ma'am, you have not presented the screen yet.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I have presented it. Okay, so thermistor, this it will look like this. So now what will we do is, just give me a moment. This is the design of your strip, which will be used for glucose calculation. Okay. So at the center also we are going to have a small box. Let us color it with black, black, black. Okay. So from here my substrate will enter. So let us denote it as S. Okay. From here my product is getting formed. Say I say this is as P. Okay. This strip here like this is my thermistor, and this black one is my immobilized enzyme. Okay, so this is my immobilized enzyme. So what happens is, here on this strip I have my immobilized enzyme, say for example glucose oxidase. So I put my blood here, it travels through this thermistor onto the immobilized enzyme, such that now my product will get formed, and this change in temperature in the thermistor will be recorded by a computer, which will show us the readings in the digital format. Okay, clear? Other
Yes, ma'am.
other types of thermistors are also being prepared, like for example, if you immobilize say urease, you can detect urea present in any substance. If you immobilize alcohol oxidase, you can measure the amount of alcohol, the alcoholometers that we get, जो पुलिस यूज करते हैं ना, ड्राइवर्स के मुंह में डालते हैं एंड दे चेक फॉर अल्कोहल कंटेंट, that is what we have, alcohol oxidase in that device. Okay, then we have another enzyme which is my penicillinase, which can be used to detect the penicillin in any compound. Clear? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Okay, so with this we are going to stop for the day. Okay,